basically starting out where you take these adjusting entries and we're going to post them down here on their individual ledgers. I do want to show you something that I thought about. I don't know why I haven't shown you all this before, but I'm going to select the entire row 27, and under the, let's see, under the View tab, we have this Freeze Panes button, and I'm going to select Freeze Panes, and this allows me to keep my general journal up so that I'm not having to scroll back and forth, but I can still scroll down here to all my ledgers. So we are going to go ahead and start posting all of these transactions on their individual ledgers. So the first ledger is allowance for uncollectible accounts, and that amount is $34.15 in the credit column. So I already have my date in there for you all. We are on General Journal 15, page 15. Sorry, let me get my keyboard on. $34.15. Since that is a credit balance and we have a credit transaction, we're going to add those two amounts together to give us a new balance of allowance for uncollectible accounts of $34.63.67. And basically what you're going to do is go over here to the adjusted trial balance, and you're going to record that number. So $34.63.67. Next one, merchandise inventory. So we've got $16.25.94 in the debit column. $16.25.94 in the debit. Since they're both debits, we add them together. $96.471. $96.471.25. All right, supplies office, $25.60 in the credit column. Since one's a debit and one's a credit, we will subtract those two numbers. Supplies office is $548. Supplies store, $38.43.62 in the credit column. Again, since one's a debit, one's a credit, we'll subtract those two amounts. So our supply store is $640. Next up, prepaid insurance. That's $9,600 in the credit column. Once again, one's a debit, one's a credit, so we'll subtract the two amounts. $1,600 for prepaid insurance. Interest receivable, $69.33. We don't actually have a balance on this account yet, so $69.33 is going to be our balance. Accumulated depreciation office equipment, $21.50 in the debit column. One's a credit, one's a debit. We will subtract those two numbers. $245. All right. Accumulated store is, oh, I think I recorded that previous transaction wrong. Yeah, sorry. That goes here. There we go. 45. And then the store one. There we go. We haven't calculated our federal income tax payable. That'll come in part 2. Our income summary is the 1625 in the credit column. Depreciation expense office equipment, 2150, 2150. Store equipment, insurance expense, 9600. Supplies office. Supplies expense office, 2560. Supplies expense store, 3843.62. 3843.62. Uncollectible account expense, 3415 in the debit. Federal income tax will come on part 2 as well. Interest income, our last one. So that's in the credit column, so 6933. Add those two together. Alright, so I need to come over here, and since I was having to scroll on my ledgers, I'm going to unfreeze that pane now. Alright. So my federal income tax, I told you, would come later. My income summary amount, 1625.94. Depreciation expense office equipment, 2150. 7440. Insurance expense, 9600. Supplies expense office, 2560.08. Supplies expense store, 3843.62. Uncollectibles, 3415. Federal income tax expense, I told you would come later, and then interest income, 533.33. Alright, so that's complete for part 1. Part 2, we have to come over here, and we need to fill in all of these formulas. So, D16 wants the total of income statement credit accounts. So if we go over here and look at our adjusted trial balance, back whenever we did the worksheets for trial balances, we learned that all of the accounts from the word income summary down are all of our accounts reported in the income statement column. So that problem just said it wants all of the amounts in the credit column on the income statement. So that would be all of these numbers. Okay, so if I highlight those, it tells me that my sum down here is $536,948.17. So I'm going to I'll show you an easy trick. So we can go equals sum, and then I can click back on my first tab, and I can highlight those cells again. So then it'll just copy those numbers. It'll copy the total over for me. Okay? And then D17 wants less, so subtract, the total of income statement debit accounts, excluding federal income tax. Well, we haven't put the federal income tax amount in yet, so we can go ahead and do equals sum, go back to that worksheet part 1, all the income summary debit column. Okay, close it out, So 395, 360.46. And then equals net income. Hold on, I need to adjust that because that would be, I'm adjusting it so that it doesn't include this cell, because remember it didn't want the federal income tax expense. All right, so to figure out the net income before federal income is this cell minus this cell. All right, so our net income before our federal income tax is $141,587. So we come over here and we look at the chart and we figure out which bracket our number falls in. So 141, it's going to fall in this $100,000 bracket, okay? 335 is too much, so it's going to be this line for 100,000. So that helps us figure out this number. So net income before federal income tax, we just take this number and copy it down here. So 141,587.71. Okay, that's just my minus sign. Skip over that. Of the amount over. Okay, we come up to my chart on that row that I said we use. Of the amount over amount is 100,000. All right. To figure out this net income subject to marginal tax rate, we just perform this calculation. So equals this number minus sign this number. Okay. So the amount that's subject to marginal tax rate is $41,587.71. So our marginal tax rate, again, come up here on this line, tax rate schedule, it's 39%. So we fill in 39%. Okay, and then we calculate the marginal income tax rate. So it's just that calculation equals this times 0.39. And our amount is $16,219.21. All right, bracket minimum income tax. Again, we come back up to this tax schedule. Our bracket minimum income tax is $22,250. So we put that number $22,250. Plus the marginal income tax, which we found over here. So you can just click on that cell if you want. So $16,219.21, and then perform that calculation. So $22,250 plus the marginal income tax equals $469.20. We're going to take that number and come back over to our trial balance sheet. To figure out how much we have to pay in federal income tax payable, we've got to figure out the difference from the first of the month till now. So what we do is we just sum up each of these columns the way that they are right now. I'm going to fill that over. Okay, so if we take the bigger number minus the smaller number, at the beginning of the month we had paid $32,000 in federal income tax expense. Now we've determined that the amount of federal income tax that we owe is actually $38,469.20. So if we figure out the $38,469.20 minus this $32,000 we've already paid, we owe an additional $64,69.20. So that $64,69.20 is the amount that we owe in federal income tax expense and federal income tax payable. Okay. So that number was 6469.20. 6469.20. 64.20. And all we need to do is take those numbers and record them down here on their individual ledgers, which I've already done for you. Yes. Okay, last step is to fill in the missing numbers over here. So federal income tax expense balance now is that 38,469.20. And my federal income tax payable amount was the $64.69.20. And then both of our columns now equal one another. So now all you need to do is just finish the application problem. Same exact scenario, just different numbers. Let me know if you have any questions.